One way to understand how pacing might be helpful is by looking at what happens when you don't pace. The result of overdoing, of being active beyond your body's limits, is an intensification of symptoms called post-exertional malaise, or PEM. That's the title here. Post means after, exertion means activity, and malaise means feeling crummy. So PEM is the worsening of symptoms that's caused by overdoing. That's the basic definition of PEM. The key fact about PEM is that it's out of proportion to the overdoing. Let me explain by giving you two examples from people in our program. The first is a man named John, and he is middle-aged guy, functions about 40 to 45% of normal, which makes him better off than most people in our program with CFS or fibro. The average is generally between about 15 and 35%. He's able to spend an hour a day gardening, in addition to all of his other normal activities, without intensifying his symptoms. But recently he spent an extra hour in the garden, and let me write that down as plus 1 hour. And the result was 1 day in bed and a 10-day relapse. That is, it was 10 days before his symptom level and his activity level were back to normal. So that's one example of how post-exertional malaise is out of proportion. Another is a woman in our program named Mary, and she functions around 20% of normal, so that makes her kind of within the normal bounds of most of the people in our program, maybe slightly below average. She reports that if she's active for one hour more than usual, so that's plus 1 hour, that results in a day in bed, just like for John. And if she goes 2 or 3 days in a row where she's beyond her limits, that will result in two to 3 weeks in bed and 6-month relapse. So it would be 6 months before she was back to the point she was before that 2 or 3 day period. So that's the bad news about post-exertional malaise. The penalty is out of proportion to the infraction. But there's good news as well. If you can avoid post-exertional malaise, think of all the suffering you can avoid. And the way to do that is by pacing, which are discussed in many of the other videos in this series.